Well, for more analysis on this issue, we're joined by Louise Comfort, Professor of Public and International Affairs and former Director of the Center for Disaster Management at the University of Pittsburgh. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Now, as we know, there have been varying estimates, but just how dire have the earthquake and the tsunami in Indonesia been in terms of the death toll as well as the economic losses?
Well, the death toll is extraordinary. As announced earlier in your program, it's now up to approximately 2,000 lives. And unfortunately, they expect more because of not only the tsunami, but the liquefaction, where whole suburbs have lost the stability and houses tipped, and they've not been able to recover all of the bodies yet.
So what would you say are the biggest challenges for people on the ground there now?
The biggest challenge now is really to try to find safe ground where they would be able to rebuild homes. And it's not likely to be close to shore. Heading towards higher ground, of course, is always safer.
Now, why are earthquakes and tsunamis in Indonesia so particularly devastating?
Well, the difficulty is that Indonesia is on the Ring of Fire, and this is a highly seismic area, perhaps one of the most seismic areas of the world. And Indonesia is an archipelago with its major coastal cities located, on islands, or its major cities, rather, are located on the coast. And so consequently, a large proportion of the population is exposed to risk not only of tsunamis, but also other coastal hazards like storm surges and floods from the rivers as well.
So then how much does a lack of understanding about the complexities of Indonesia's tectonic environment hamper the ability to detect and predict natural disasters there?
Well, it's very difficult. This is a complex problem. We are making some progress. We do have a better understanding of the science. We also have a better understanding with more advanced technologies. So it's not easy, but we believe that it is possible to develop underwater sensor networks that can identify the movement of the ocean, the water column in the ocean that indicates a tsunami. This would give minutes of warning, literally 10, 15 minutes, but that's enough to move people to higher ground if they are already aware and if they do have communication available to them. So a network it needs to have two parts. One is the underwater sensor network that identifies the shift in the water that indicates a tsunami. The second part is a wireless network on land that can create a movable hotspot, essentially,
Right.
for people to be able to communicate.
Now, a lot of people were concerned that when the power got knocked out, that was hampering these early warning systems. So what sort of cost could we be looking at for the sort of systems you're talking about, either the underwater one or through these wireless systems?
Well, the wireless systems, this is an advance in wireless technology where with relatively small little Raspberry Pi devices, they can connect to the satellite and that is in the sky. It's not affected by water, and that can create, with good programming, essentially a hotspot in the area, and it can move with the people. So it's possible to create local communication networks that would be extremely important in allowing people to take informed action themselves and move themselves in their neighborhood to higher ground.
And how would you say regional partners can better support each other as weather events become more extreme and more damaging?
Oh, this, I believe, is very important. Tsunamis are a global problem. They affect not just Indonesia, but also India, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Japan, China, as well. And it is impossible, or it is rather most important, I think, to develop an international collaboration, essentially an international observatory where research can be done, tsunami early warning systems can be developed and tested, and then made available to other coastal cities that are also at risk.
Well, thank you so much for your insights. Louise Comfort there, Professor of Public and International Affairs at the University of Pittsburgh.